Well, folks, I'm finally putting my situation to bed. I've had to come up with answers myself, and I've realized that no matter how much you want it to work, no matter how much you try, sometimes love isn't enough. It really isn't. We all make choices and react based on our own experiences and truths. And sometimes those truths are so fundamentally different that they can't be reconciled. I had to ask a question of my friendships that most people will never have to ask their friendship. And it was sad that we really didn't match up down there. I have to come to realize that not everybody has the same experience as I do. And unless you've hit true emotional rock bottom and built yourself back up, there is a level of empathy and understanding that just isn't there. Talk to therapists, talk to peers, talk to mental health workers, talk to anybody that has anything to do with mental health, and you will realize that there are certain truths that are just they're just truths. People without that experience will do things that seem intuitive to themselves, and they kind of are, really. They are, because they are out of a place of empathy. They come from a place of knowledge as opposed to wisdom. Knowledge is wanting to support all your friends. Wisdom is knowing that you can only support one of them if it's a severe situation. People have separate relationships apart from your own, and you can't really ask anybody to choose. You can't. There's definitely that. You can definitely let them know that you're not okay with it, and you can leave it up to them to choose. I'm not always the best at taking an emotional no. Or maybe I need more clarification in my life, as do many people I know. I have talked about this situation to a few people, close people at work that are friends of mine who are also peers. And I do my very best to be unbiased, but it doesn't always come across that way, so I will admit that, but we all have our biases. I know I'm being talked about, or at least I assume I'm being talked about as I'm crazy, I'm nuts, I am immature, I'm so on and so forth. However, having lived through the things I've lived and learned the things I've learned through the traumas I've experienced, been part of, or seen, my truths are really ingrained, and they've really been ingrained this time around. I didn't know how to articulate that, or that it was actually a moral issue. I had no clue until it was absolutely too late. Ultimately, all our actions are up to us, whether we have control over them or not. I sank to a darker place than I've ever been in my life, and I was pushed to my limit of emotional capacity and understanding of what was happening. I couldn't process it. I'm still having a hard time processing it, but now I have some answers for myself that it was all kind of doomed from the beginning. No matter how many good times you have, no matter how much love there is, and trying, if there's not a deeper understanding of traumas and two-way communication, it just can't go any further. So I give you this. If you are being traumatized by someone, or willfully hurt. Let's say that if you're being willfully hurt by someone and you have a group of friends, or someone is being willfully hurt by someone, you can't support both. The victim is left feeling un unloved, unheard, abandoned. And while it may not be true, that is their inner feeling. When someone is hurt that severely, to have someone say, "Well, there's good people on both sides," then it just doesn't work that way. I can't fault anybody. Just like I hope people can't fault what I did as something I would do if I was in my rational mind. I still did it. There's no question about it. I barely remember anything. I remember flurries. There was definitely a lot of love between us all. And ultimately, we had different questions to different answers. And I hope that the pain caused some learning. It was a new situation for me to be in, being the hurt in that situation. But I cannot stress enough, people, communication and trust go hand in hand. You can't hope someone trusts you unless you communicate. Sometimes we self-sabotage. I know I have in situations. I used to push people away before they could get too close. Or I would tell people to go fuck themselves with a good reason why. So I hoped in the pain that I caused, at least that person could grow from it. I felt it was up to me to teach lessons, and to some degree, I guess I still do. With my work that I do as a peer support worker, I am someone with lived experience working with people with living experience in mental health, addiction, homelessness, incarceration, abuse, sexual assault, sex work, um, being queer. Like, I work around a lot of vicarious trauma, so my level of understanding and the wisdom that comes from that is quite high. And often I get told by people that don't have that understanding that I'm crazy, or that that's not realistic, or I when people, even at head office, people are allowed to call in and say, "Hey, I need a mental health day." Hold on. They need a mental health day, and they can call in and take it as a sick day, or they can do it a few times. I've had to do it. It's it's knowing that we're all damaged to various degrees, some more than others. And it's not a competition of who has more trauma. It's it's a comparison of who has gained from it. Because fuck, if you don't get anything out of deep pain, then I don't know what to say. That is its own issue. We can blame each other for everything, all sorts of things. And I guess that comes down to miscommunication as well. Because I know if I'm left with not knowing, I think the absolute worst of myself. Even though rational thought may be saying, like, no, 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 that's not what's happening. Irrational thought just takes over. I'm even on meds and I'm still having a hard time. COVID has really kicked my ass in all sorts of ways, and I haven't been well since like the first 2 weeks of like the last 2 weeks of March. I haven't really been well. So to all of you out there that are suffering silently or not, like me, it will get better. It may not be for some time, but it will get better. You've come this far. There's a lot left to live for and be around for. You may not recognize it now. I know I don't. However, there have been more good times than bad times in most of us. And you gotta really strive for those good times. You gotta you gotta look inwards. You 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 yeah. You really just gotta look inwards. I love you all. Stay safe out there.